This is my 5th published novel. All of them are about ruined men. And because they're about ruined men, it means that I learned from great writers who write about ruined men a little bit about how to pull that off. The people who are most influential to me in terms of my style and subject matter are Richard Ford, the great Catholic novelist Walker Percy, and Mr. Hemingway. I've learned much of what I know about depicting people in crisis from reading them. My style, I think, in this book is very strongly influenced by Scott Fitzgerald. And I very consciously modeled the ending of this book on The Great Gatsby, which may be the greatest novel ending in the history of history. I was also very strongly affected in the writing of this book by James Baldwin. This is a big, multicultural, multiracial cast. In some ways it resembles Another Country, which is one of my favorite James Baldwin novels. But one of the things that also really influenced me is that I was working on a nonfiction book about James Baldwin in the last few years that I was writing this novel. And I was learning about what he thought was important. And what he thought was important was that you should absolutely talk about things that matter, big themes, big ideas. But you should depict your characters in a way that everyone gets their agency and their full humanity. It's one of the things that comes out when I think about Ali, the person who could have been a stereotypical villain in this novel. It's one of the things that I think about when I think about Calvin's father, who could have been a really difficult, challenging character. And I hope that because of Baldwin's influence, I've given him his full humanity. There's a scene in the book where Cal is talking to his uncle, his father's brother, and he is learning something about their abusive childhood. It's not an excuse, but it helps him to understand a little bit about how the man who shaped him was shaped. And that's something that I think those literary influences have been really valuable for. The last thing. This is my 5th novel. I try to learn something every time, and I also try to enjoy myself because writing is hard work. So there are a lot of little Easter eggs and shout-outs in this book to stories that helped me write it. There's Casablanca. There's Damien Chazelle's La La Land, Notting Hill, Friday Night Lights. A bunch of stories where people had solved a little piece of the equation that I was trying to put together on my big chalkboard that was my novel. And knowing that might be interesting for some of you that know those stories as well, because you'll probably recognize a tiny little piece of them when you see it.